Welcome to the WriteHer podcast, everyone, a series where we chat about all topics and also go over some tips and best practices for short and long form writing, PR, and all things communication. I'm your host, Jillian Brander, content creator, social media specialist, and lover of all things writing. And I'm here with Kathy Douglas, owner of Kathy Douglas Communications. We're happy to have you, Kathy. If you want to tell people how awesome you are in writing, like I am babbling
Well, thank
on.
you, Jill. I'm really enjoying doing these podcasts and YouTube videos. It's been a lot of fun for me. I'm learning a lot. So thank you. I am first and foremost a wife and mom. My kids now are grown, but I think that's the thing that I'm proudest of is, a successful marriage and, successful kids. They're all three college grads. So that was when that was done, that was a relief. And I've had my own business based at home since it would be the summer of 2014. So coming up on 9 years.
Wow.
And so primarily my clients are higher ed and nonprofit. I have a couple healthcare clients, and primarily I do writing and editing. Feature writing is my biggest strength, but I am accredited in public relations. I have agency experience and experience heading up public relations for a university. So, and then the last, say, 20 years or more of my professional experience prior to opening up my own business was all in higher ed. So a lot of what I do is, very short, quick feature writing assignments for websites, or I can also do bigger projects. For instance, I just wrapped up the most recent magazine. In fact, it's not even out yet, as far as I know. Cal State East Bay's university magazine. So basically they just said, hey, could you edit this? And that's what I used to do at Fullerton. So I just wrapped up that project. So they can be big, they can be small, somewhere in the middle, that kind of thing. So
absolutely. And anybody that's watching or listening to this podcast can definitely, reach out via your website, kathydouglas.com. We are so excited to be here. The topic today may be a pain. It may be a pain, this topic. Today we're talking about chronic pain that could be caused by a number of different things, but what it's like being a professional in the world today, fast paced, either remote or hybrid or in person. Some of us deal with chronic pain, some for years, some for months, some for our entire lifetime. So today I'm excited to hear from your perspective and some tips. You just wrote a blog for that reflects these tips as well in your personal experience. So, if you haven't read the blog, everybody, go to kathydouglas.com right now. Go to the blog. And I think this is going to be really insightful. So I just really appreciate your time and you hanging on with this podcast. I think this is episode.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, I should point out too that this could apply to any kind of chronic condition, so not necessarily pain. In my case, it happens to be pain, but this could be a chronic. It could be any kind of chronic illness, so or condition. So even really bad asthma, or dealing with something like that. Terrible allergies, they can disable you almost as much as anything else. So
Right.
what made me think of this is that well, let's just put it this way. I'm getting older, like everybody is, and now I'm a woman of a certain age. So with that comes some uh, having to admit the realization that you can't do everything that you used to do physically and every other way. So knowing that and accepting that and then accommodating limitations, whether they're from age, pain, or other circumstances, if you have the desire to keep an active, as much as possible, lifestyle, a successful career, you want to keep working, you want to keep having a social life, and basically having a fulfilling life, there are ways that you can accommodate your work and your life so that you can try to do the things that you love to do. Um, you do have to admit that you have
Mm-hmm.
uh, some limitations into what you can do, but I think it started for me seriously when in 2014 my knees were just
Mm-hmm.
shot because of skiing, and also I think I have some hereditary issues with my knees because dad had knee problems, etc. So we were traveling in London. It was a family vacation that we'd planned, for years. And I found myself having to just rest on a bench
Mm-hmm.
um, more than I would like because I was just in so much pain. So that decided me when we returned here, okay, I need the knee replacement. I'd tried everything else. I'd tried the cortisone shots. I'd tried
Mm-hmm.
different kinds of medication. I'd done physical therapy, and basically the last resort was having a knee replacement. So I did that in 2014, and then again in 2016 for the other knee. And it was that period of rehabilitation that I realized, okay, I'll be pain free in terms of my knees, but as a result of the replacements, I have to start accommodating my lifestyle to this new way of being. So that's kind of what started it for me. And obviously, I was under the care of a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then that doctor referred me to a pain management specialist. So in my case, I have very good insurance, which is wonderful. And I'm under the care of people who really understand what they're doing. So um, my pain management specialist is actually by training an anesthesiologist.
Oh.
So people do go to him for pain medication, as I do, but also he has a whole arsenal at his disposal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now doing physical therapy for my back because now my issues are primarily back issues. Um, I'm on the medication. He has me on a walking program. What else? Alternating ice packs and heating pads. Just simply changing positions all throughout the day and night. I find that I can't work at my desk for longer than a half an hour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, knowing that, because I have my own business, of course, I'm very flexible and very blessed to be able to do that. But I'll get up and maybe I'll keep working, but I'll go work on the patio.
Right.
And just that
Yeah.
changing the chair, changing the position, even changing the machine, going from the computer to the iPad,
Yeah.
um, or and taking breaks to do other things. I'll go out and putter in the garden for 10
I
minutes, or
love gardening.
change out the laundry, or
Right.
call a friend, or check in on my mom. The things that basically just give you a break for a few minutes, both physically and kind of mentally. And then I just go right back to it. But so,
Oh, no, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. Your
no,
experience.
that's okay. So, I didn't want to like cover everything all at the same time, but well, there are two things that I think have been the most helpful to me over the years. One, of course, is the medications, and it's a very controversial topic
Mm-hmm.
to discuss pain medication. But in addition to what you think of as pain medication, whether it's Aleve or Advil or something prescription related. There's also muscle relaxers. There's anti-inflammatory medication.
Mhm.
So the pain management guy has all of these at his disposal.
And like
So
holistic. Yeah.
yeah, what I like is I check in with them every month in person. They examine me and then they say, how has it been? And I'll say, well, you know, I have this new issue and it's here. And I think it was, from twisting. I even notice it when I'm driving, if I'm checking my
Mm,
mirrors, it's really bothering me.
mm,
Um, and then they'll say, what are you doing for it? Well, I'm alternating my heating pad and my ice pack. And they'll say, how would you like to try physical
mm,
therapy? Or have you tried even
mm.
massage therapy?
Right.
Um, so just in the last week, I scheduled a massage, like a therapeutic massage. I bought a massage gun.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
have
if you've
one. Those are
seen them,
great.
but yeah. And it comes with all different attachments, for
Yes.
different parts of your body.
Yeah, be
I'm
careful with
learning how
that
to
one.
use that.
Start low. That one it can I have if it's the same one. I remember treating my foot and I was like, why am I going the max? Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
funny because when it's on my back, if somebody's doing it for me,
Mhm.
it makes my nose itch because
Yes.
everything
It's like
vibrates.
vibrating. Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting how like from what you're saying, it's great to have the support and like the insurance and the contact for a doctor that can treat you holistically too, because I think
Yes,
professionals sometimes we get in this, especially in like the United States, right? We get into this like everything's based off of task, everything's based off of completion and how
right.
much you can do in how short amount of a time. And
Yes,
I think we sometimes like even myself included, we forget like the things that we love because we base our worth off of how much
right,
we're doing. So,
right.
these are things that absolutely every professional can evaluate and like talk. Like this morning I had a doctor's appointment and my doctor was like, yeah, you can deal, like I had foot surgery a few years ago, like I want to say 7 years ago. I fainted at a Coldplay concert.
Oh no.
It's an interesting story, let me tell you. My friends made fun of me for so long for saying you fainted at a Coldplay concert.
So Chris Martin was just so amazing that you
So
just keeled right over.
I just, oh my gosh. I'm here to see. Yeah. Like I was waiting in line and I didn't even get into the Rose Bowl. I fainted and
Oh
I broke my
no.
foot. And it was really interesting. Yeah, it
So
was,
you fainted and then broke your foot?
I fainted on my foot. I know. And
Oh
I had
no.
surgery. Thankfully, I had a great doctor, great pain management, but like years later, it's like this gnawing, chronic, kind of annoying pain. And now I'm like, okay, Joe, I'm 29. So I'm like still hanging on to my 20s as much as I can. And, it's like I'm experiencing for the first time, like for the first time ever, like the pain that can come with like just getting older in a sense, like not being in your 20s. Like this is a
Right,
very new thing for me. I used to be very go, go, go. And, we need to complete everything. And, it's
right.
just all the time. And, I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, well, I may need physical therapy. Like it's time to prioritize, like, getting enough sleep. I mean, we can talk. I know you talked about like, getting the right treatment and not being afraid of medications. But even the things like getting enough sleep, like your
Yes,
walking plan,
yes,
adjusting your schedule, like things that can also
right.
physiologically, in a sense.
Hmm.
I mean, you you have had this career too that you've raised 3 kids, gone to college, graduated, write constantly, have clients in your own business. What do you think? I'm like picking your brain. What do you think was like when you first started this kind of like journey, right? Like dealing with these things. What was one of the first things that you said to yourself to help yourself cope through it, right? Because I think sometimes people say like, oh, woe is me, or they deny it, or they, self-medicate in other ways. So I guess, what was that experience like for you coping with it?
I don't think that I would have it did not happen gracefully, I'll tell you that. In my case, I think it took the knee pain being so
Mm,
profound that I could not move anymore. And it was only then that I realized, okay, I don't have any other recourse, that I have to get the surgery.
mhm,
And then that started me on this road of what can I do to feel better
mhm,
physically, emotionally, mentally. And it led me down this path of a lot of different things in the arsenal, to try to live as full a life as possible. And in that arsenal are everything from, just simple elevation of the leg with a recliner um, to sharing my journey in a journal and with a therapist, but also things like, okay, well, now I have the knee rehabilitating. What am I going to do moving forward to not only rehabilitate that leg, but also to get in better shape so that this kind of thing
mhm,
doesn't continue to happen, especially as I grow older.
mhm,
So it was then that I really had this, pretty serious realization. I was almost 300 pounds, and every minute that you get older, it gets harder and harder to
mhm,
lose weight. So your metabolism slows down, you get
mhm.
to be more sedentary because of knees or whatever other
Right.
problems you have. So I felt like I had done everything I could, and that's when I had weight loss surgery. So, and the path to weight loss surgery for my insurance company and my surgeon was very rigorous. So there was cognitive behavioral
Mhm,
therapy classes where I had to realize, okay, I've used food all my life as a calming,
mhm.
soothing mechanism. I
Coping.
eat
Yeah.
not when I'm hungry, I eat
Mhm,
to handle emotions.
mhm.
So identifying that, this was just the one part of that
Yeah.
journey, was identifying, okay, instead of grabbing, food from the pantry, what are 10 things that I can do when
Mm.
I'm upset that don't involve food? And it can be as simple as, hey, I really need a nap.
Yeah. Right.
Or I have a list of friends that I can call, like, just to talk, or talking with my husband, going out and playing with my dog,
Yeah.
anything that's non-food related. So that was part of the journey. And then I remembered along the way, I think I had my surgery when I was like 58 or 59. So I was getting up there. When I was at Fullerton, I remember we did a story on part of the kinesiology program. There's a gerontology
Mm, mhm.
like subspecialty. Within that, there's a fall prevention center.
Yes.
Remember interviewing the doctor who runs that, and her saying that when you hit 50, that's when you start to lose your balance
Mhm.
changes. And I was thinking, wow, 50 is so young, why
Yeah.
would it change that soon? Well, I started to realize that in addition to being really heavy, I was constantly running into things.
Mm,
My center of gravity was changing with
mhm.
age. So with that in mind, I signed up for Tai Chi.
I thought you were
And
instantly going to say that, and I said,
yeah, so,
great with
and
balance.
just at the very minimum, even if it didn't like help you in all these other ways, like with meditation
Mhm.
and having something to really focus your mind on that gets you away from your problems and your work
Right.
and deadlines and everything. In addition to all that, just, if nothing else, it taught me where my center of gravity was.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't I don't fall anymore. I don't run into things anymore. And when I first started Tai Chi, I weighed almost 300 pounds and I had to hold on to the wall
Mm-hmm.
to do anything. Just shifting my weight, I had to
Yeah.
hold on to the wall. Well, now I'm a red belt, which is right
Yes.
next to black belt. So I've studied now for 5 years. Thanks. And I think what I like most about it, other than the safety, fall prevention, is it's taught me a lot about meditation and concentration, and I find it very graceful and
Mhm.
very satisfying. So
Yeah.
uh, I think yoga would be much the same, but these days yoga can be very, very intense and
Mm-hmm.
very sweaty and
True.
very challenging. I do yoga, but I do very slow stretching.
Yeah, a
It's more
modified
about
version. Yeah.
stretching and toning and just trying to stay loose. So I tried to integrate those two things in my day. And so I started gradually kind of building this arsenal of ways of coping with the chronic pain to accommodate my life. So I'm the first to admit some days are what I call pain days.
Mm,
And I have to realize when I'm waking up and I'm realizing, okay, this is just going to be a really bad day. In those cases, and it's just like if you had the flu or something, you
yeah.
would accommodate your schedule for the way that you're feeling that day. Um, Postpone what you can, take frequent breaks,
Mhm.
maybe make time for a nap, whatever's going to make you feel better for that day. But, with I wanted to segue into sleep because you mentioned the importance
Mhm.
of sleep. And nowadays, sleep is on everybody's minds.
Yes.
We're always told that you have to have at least 7 hours. Adults need
Right.
7 hours of sleep. Well, okay, I think that's true. And I love sleep and I wish I could sleep more. But if you're dealing with a chronic condition of any kind, it doesn't have to be pain. Um, Getting 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep
Oh,
can be almost impossible.
mhm.
So I have learned, kind of through trial and error, that sometimes, like today, uh, I wake up because I'm in pain. So the only way to really handle it, I can't just roll over. I have to
Right.
like get up, walk around for a little bit, change positions. So maybe lay down in the
Mhm.
recliner or
Mhm.
write in my journal for a while, whatever's going to kind of get me out of that laying down mode. Um, so I do that sometimes for an hour or two, and then I go back to bed. I'm
Yeah.
able to do that because of I'm the boss, so I'm kind of making my own schedule, but also I've just given myself a break. Like, okay, I can't get 7 hours uninterrupted because of pain
Mhm.
issues. So if I need to, I'm going to get 5 hours here and I'm going to get 2 hours there. So it's still
Right.
7 hours, but it may be broken up.
Yeah. And, you know, that's so interesting how all of these things can come together, like how we were talking, like holistically. You know, that's such a great idea. I think, like, as working professionals, it's hard, to give yourself the empathy and the compassion to be able to say, okay, I'm going to take a mental health day. Or, you know what? I'm going to take the weekend and not plan anything, even though everybody's reaching out to me because X, Y, and Z. Right. And I think, you know, when we were talking earlier, when you were mentioning these certain things, I took Tai Chi and yoga in college at Cal State Fullerton.
Oh,
I took
yeah.
it with
Uh-huh.
Patrick Freeman and it changed my life, and absolutely can understand, how your center of gravity, and how when you find these tools in your arsenal, that just adds to how you're going to keep doing what you love longer, right? I feel like
Mhm.
that's
Right.
how you keep doing what you love longer is what we're all looking for, but it's like we can't be 100% all the time and not recognize these things and not take our care of ourselves, right?
It's
Yeah.
interesting because I think people who practice yoga would say this, and anybody who exercises rigorously. Tai Chi, if I did nothing else for me, it taught me that
Mhm.
I hold my breath all the time. Like
Same.
if I'm stressed out, I find myself like I've been holding my breath, right?
Mhm.
So Tai Chi teaches you deep breathing from your diaphragm, not from up here, and calming breaths, just counting in and out and slowing down. I mean, just that alone can help you handle pain or
Right.
stress or whatever's.
Yeah.
It's really been a godsend for me.
I'm so glad you're a red belt. I have so much to ask you because I mean, I feel like Tai Chi is so, like you're saying, amazing. And I've never moved as slow as I have in Tai Chi. And I am so similar to you when you say I hold my breath, and it's just like a habit that I live with, like, and it's like your body and your brain are on this constant, like, ready and anxious,
Right.
and then we learn
Yeah.
it, and that affects our body. So I mean, these tools in your arsenal, like Tai Chi, walking every day, talking about it, adjusting your schedule. I think, you were talking about some great tools for journaling that I had no idea. I had no idea that online journaling was so vast, and I should have known. But yeah, we were talking earlier how there's many tools. So those of us that are listening or watching, um, I'll give you some time to share your screen whenever you want.
Yes, I
But
will do that right now.
but
Okay. So,
for those of you that are listening, I will try to kind of lead you through what the screen will look like, but there are resources available to people who would like to journal digitally. You can
right.
share with friends
So,
online, but go ahead, Kathy.
yeah, this is the first one that I heard about. It's called Open Diary. There is a fee, like it's an annual kind of subscription fee. Um, but it's, opendiary.com, and you pay a very small annual fee. You can write a completely private journal here. You can decide that you want to share it only with friends, and they could be friends that you meet on the website itself in reading other people's journals, or it can be outside people. Say you want your husband to read it, or
Mhm.
you've written an entry about your best friend and you want to share it with that person,
Right.
or
Are you therapists?
a therapist. My therapist and I have shared back and forth. So, Open Diary is one of them. And what I like about it is I'd always wanted to journal, but what was keeping me away from it was
Mhm.
um, the idea of writing it with a pencil or a pen was going to really slow me down.
Mhm.
And the fact that I type all day makes me a very rapid typer. And the fact that I could type my journal really is what sold me on it. The other website, and I think this one is free, is Prosebox, and it's just prosebox.net. Excuse me. And you can see that this is the.
Oh,
Are you seeing this?
I think you still have to share.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's see. Go back here.
We are really connecting though, like with technology and diaries online. This is it is fascinating.
Okay. Now, is this? Are you seeing Prosebox now?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Please hold.
No worries. Please hold. There we
Okay.
go.
Now, so now we're on
Now I
this.
can see your screen,
Okay.
prose box.
All right. So this is the front page of Prozbox, and this is just the site updates are just from the site manager. But
Mm.
these are what the entries look like on the front page. So these are people who have decided whatever they're writing that day, they're going to share this at least with that journaling community.
Mm.
But I have entries on here. You can create different books, they call them. And so one book that I have on both Open Diary and Prozbox, because I write interchangeably on each, is I just have one that's called Gratitudes. And
Mhm.
some days, if nothing else, I'll write a couple things about, well, today I'm really thankful for Samson, my dog, because I've never seen a happier being in my life. He's happy all the time. Playing
Mm.
makes him happy. Outside makes him happy. He's just happy. And just simply playing with my dog, that's something to be grateful for. Or today I'm grateful that it was a sunny day and it was a beautiful day. So even if I didn't get out and enjoy it, with a long hike, I was able to get out in the fresh air and,
Be grateful for it.
so some things are grateful, and then other times you just want to write and just unload about how horrible your day is,
Yes.
or this difficult client, or a disappointment that you've had in your life, or during the holidays, it was all about, how much can I pack into my day, and
Mm.
the stress of having house guests and hosting parties,
Right.
all of that stuff. So the journal can be helpful in terms of a chronic condition because you can write about your pain or your disability completely freely, and you can share it with as whatever audience you want to share it with, even if it's just you or you and whatever friends you've made on this journaling community. But I've found it to be quite helpful. Even just talking about if you have a chronic condition of any kind, I find that having a sympathetic audience, whether it's your family or a therapist or your
Mhm.
doctor, um, just being able to express, hey, this pain is really getting me down.
Right.
Here's what I'm trying to deal with it. But I just want to express how difficult it's making my life. Sometimes just acknowledging it
Get it out. Yeah.
verbally is nice. Um, and then I think we talked about like walking. For
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
because of my the conditions that I deal with that give me pain are osteoarthritis and spine degeneration. Um, so those make it almost impossible for me to do rigorous,
Mm.
sweaty, running or
Jumping.
weightlifting or those kinds of things.
Right.
However, um, if I really apply myself to a walking program, it is both cardio worthy and also gets me out in the fresh air, gives me goals, gets my mind off of things. And actually, what I found is it's very counterintuitive. If you're dealing with pain of, say, osteoarthritis, getting started walking can
Mm.
be very painful. The first 10 minutes are really discouraging. But what I've found is if I can power through those 10 minutes, the next 10 minutes feel wonderful. And the 10 minutes after
Mm.
that.
Even
And
better.
then when you're done, you find that the residual benefits last you, for hours because you've gotten out in the fresh air and you've worked up a little bit of a cardio
Hmm. Your body's warmed up.
level
Yeah.
that has effect on your whole body. You're breathing better. you're standing more upright, you're able to, it's stretched you out and made you more limber.
Mhm.
And contrary to what you thought in those first 10 minutes, the benefits are great. So you just have to stick with it. But on pain days, what I really want to do is just sit on the couch in my pajamas all day.
Right?
But that's the worst thing you can do in
Yeah,
most cases.
absolutely.
Sometimes you do have to just admit that you're having a bad day, but it 9 times out of 10, it's better to get going and try. And you have to be reasonable, you know,
So
about
true.
the level that you can do.
Yeah, and like being compassionate, or you mentioned one of the tips was um don't expect too much of yourself.
In fact, I think that's how I wrapped up the blog. And what I said was, I think it's the most difficult suggestion.
Mm,
Um, you and I, for sure, as journalists and PR people, and social media, for sure, we are taught, this is 24/7. We are driven.
mhm.
It's competitive. You can't sleep. In order to be the best at what you're doing, you have to be relentless. All of that is true. However, um, when you have any kind of chronic condition, you have to admit to yourself that you need to accommodate it. You try to feel your best by doing all the things that we've talked about, but ultimately you have to realize that you're facing challenges, and most of them are going to be lifelong. So you have to learn how much you can expect of yourself that's realistic, and then you have to let go of the things that are unrealistic. So
Right.
um, I think it's the hardest part because we're taught that we're only as good as the
Mm,
18 things that we checked off
right.
on our to-do list that day. But sometimes you can only do 2 of those 18 things, and that's okay. You have to give yourself some grace, and it's very hard to do.
And I appreciate you, encapsulating these tips and, writing the blog. I think this is going to be very beneficial for everybody,
I
people
hope
who are,
so.
yeah, I firmly agree. Um, and I think my last question for you is kind of going off of what you were mentioning, right? The hardest thing, don't expect too much of yourself, and give yourself grace with that. What's one thing, other than that, the greatest advice you could give anybody who is starting to deal with or trying to be better with dealing with their chronic pain or their chronic illness? I know it's kind of a big question.
Yeah, it helps to be armed with information. So both having a really good healthcare provider, in my case, I have really good insurance, and that can never hurt. Doing some reading about the condition, and being open to not only things that might be scary like medications, but also to alternatives, to things like acupuncture and chiropractic and massage therapy, and even pot. I mean, I never in a million years pictured myself being open with my kids about using marijuana,
Interesting.
but it was my oldest child who came to me and said, "Mom, you really need to explore this as a way to deal with chronic pain. Maybe this is better than opioids. Have you really considered this?" And if you had told me when I was 21, sneaking pot bust, at a concert, that I would eventually go to a dispensary with my son,
That
I
what?
would have told you were crazy. It was
Yeah,
almost like an out of body experience
I'm
for me.
sure it would have been.
And I should say you cannot mix opioids and
Anything?
any kind of THC or CBD product. You can do one or you can do the other. But there are CBD products that are like topical, like
Mhm.
lotions and sprays and oils and all kinds of stuff that I find are give me about the same level of relief as like a biofreeze or a
Mm. Like a uh
yeah, like a
like a Tylenol pain relieving topical gel. Like we have one of,
right,
Salon Paws, right? Stuff like that
exactly.
too.
Exactly. I've tried all of
Interesting.
those and sometimes just a hot shower at night, uh heating pad and maybe some of that oh gosh, what's it called? Voltaren gel. Voltaren. There's a certain kind of medication that's specifically for arthritis pain.
Oh,
Putting that on my back. Um, sometimes that's the best thing I can do at the end of the day. But I guess what I'm saying is be open to exploration of ways that you can manage the pain. And then once you've done as much as you can do, give yourself the grace of adjusting your schedule, adjusting your expectations, talking about your issues. And I think you can live a really full life, even though you have these issues. You just have to be creative in learning to accommodate
I mean, I learned so much from this blog.
them.
I was reading this blog and I was, like, it's so great to be able to have a resource that, that works for you. And even like what you're saying, like coupling things. So I'm really excited for people to listen to this and to read the blog and to hear the podcast. And, maybe our users or listeners out there would give us ideas too. So any ideas that you have out
Yes, that
there,
would be wonderful.
we'd love to hear them and, comment on the blog, all that fun stuff. And check out the website, kathydouglas.com. Um,
Yes,
but
please.
but thank you so much, Kathy, for spending time with me and letting me pick
Sure.
your brain about, just how you've overcome things and deal with things. So truly inspiring, and definitely motivating, right?
Oh, thank
Motivational
you.
for
Thank you.
all those professionals out there, especially us young journalists. Let me tell you, Kathy, we're not sleeping anymore. We got to stop and take care of
Well, I
ourselves.
appreciate your
Yes.
insightful questions.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And yeah, like we said in the beginning, for those of us listening, for those of us that are watching, stay tuned. There's a new podcast, a new blog, a new YouTube video every single month. So stay tuned and we hope to see you back for the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome.